Okay, so try as I might, I could not convince myself basically to reread the rules for BAR. However, reading the rules to 1835 seemed a possibility, and I did that. And that's what we're going to play now. I just picked this one up, actually. It's probably my least favorite. Well, it's hard to tell because 1829 is also so different in flavor. But with the exception of the 1829 branch of the 18XX games, I mean, 1829 has a linear stock track, right? But this one has what looks like an 1830 style grid. This is probably my least favorite of the games that has a full stock grid. I've played it far too many times, but it's been a long time since I played it, and I've never had it solitaire. I think I'm going to enjoy it more solitaire than I ever did multiplayer. Although there are definitely things that disturb me about it. So let me go into what's hugely different about it from, say, our baseline 1830. For one thing, okay, we've got this tableau of companies that are up for sale. And the purchasing order is as follows for the sort of initial round. Instead of auctioning things off or any kind of flexibility in what the prices may be, the first player is offered everything, well, any player is offered anything in the top row. You can have that. If there's only one thing in the top row, as the first player is offered with the Nuremberg Firth, he could also take the first thing in the second row or in the next row. Okay. All of these things have to sell before any of the corporate stocks can go. And that's all fine and good. What are these things? Well, we've got a lot of little private companies. And just like 18XX, they have sort of special abilities. Their special abilities usually resolve down to you can lay a free extra track lay and close the company by doing that. That's pretty much the basic rule on these. There's nothing too exciting about them. I don't really know their locations because I've covered the map with this, and it's been a long time. I don't remember any of them being terribly valuable, though. They also all come with some sort of stock value. The blue ones come with shares in the Beige, which is the first company that's going to start. In fact, if the entire packet sells out, the Beige automatically floats at 50%. The presidency of the Sachsische goes with the Leipzig Dresdner. This is kind of like the B&O in 1830. You run it, you buy a train, you close your private company. Can you make the amount of money that you make off the private by running the corporation? I don't know. But it ain't your choice entirely. Okay, then we come to a bunch of minor companies. And minor companies are cool in games that have them. We saw them in 1861 that I played. And they also exist in 2038. These are similar to the 1861 ones. Single dot, single token in a city. And you split your money 50-50. It's like 2038 too. You split your money 50-50, or you can swallow. And they have no share value. That's different from 61 at least, but similar to 2038. They have no share value, but every single one of them comes with some percentage value in the Prussian Railway, which some of the miners also have. They don't come with certificates of the Prussian, when they close, they become certificates of impression. Somewhat of a distinction there. Okay. Once you sell all these out, then the stocks become available in, well, let me see something that I didn't realize. The stocks become available in the that are offered in the initial offering. And what's available? Well, at the beginning of the game, the Bearish and Sashish are both available. The Bearish is floated at 50%. The base rule is this. There are 3 tiers of stocks. The Bearish Sashish, I don't know what the next one is. The Hessian, Württemberg, and Baden. And then the Mecklenburg and the Olden Boy. Each tier, all the shares have to be sold out before the next tier becomes available at all. You have no control over your prices. They're set up here. You can't start a company unless all the companies before it in the tier have already floated, i.e., in the initial situation, by the time you can buy any shares, 50% of the Bearish is already out. So you could start the Sashish. Now, there's something a little weird here because part of the Saxon has part of its value. It has its director's share sitting in this initial offering. But on the next tier, the first one offered, the Badish, you got that or you got nothing. You can buy things out of this bank pool, or you can buy that presidency. And when that's offered, they also turn up these shares of the Prussian that produce no money until the Prussian starts. So those are kind of your choices real early. Whenever stocks are available, there's very, very few options that you have. You can't control the price. You can't control, to a large extent, which certificates you want to buy. You can't control what presidency you're going to get. All of that becomes very, very mechanical, and I can see where control of that could be as enjoyable as control of trains is in the 1830 mainline games, and in this to some extent. Being able to play to force someone into bad decisions with stocks, so that you will get a good decision if they make any decision. This is what this game really is all about, I think. And it's never appealed to me, but maybe because I've never looked at it carefully enough, like in a solo game. That's my thinking there. I've always disliked, I can't control the price, which means I can't control what I get in terms of trains. I can't control which company I can pick, so I can't look on the board and see who's got an advantage right now. It's all very forced. All I can do is, do I want to start a company or do I want to invest? Those are the kind of options that happen. Okay, what else do we have? There's something I forgot about. Yeah, that's what I thought. We have a nice German play aid, which is not terribly helpful if you don't read German, I guess, but it does show you some things. There are 3 phases in the game, and they correspond really with the number of operating rounds between stock rounds. And the first phase is the 2 trains, but we have different kinds of trains in this. We also have 2+2s. What's the bonus of a 2+2? It's not like the things in 61 or Railroad Barons, where it increases your income tremendously. All it does is it allows you to count small cities, boinker-doinkers, as that plus part. So I can hit 2 large cities and 2 small cities. Track-wise, I remember there being a lot of power, some interesting cities, Berlin, for example, and Hamburg, where you've got the ability to kind of, do some more interesting break-offs in terms of different people are building different track, etc. What else do we know? Oh yeah, going bankrupt doesn't end the game. Now, I've never seen anyone go bankrupt in this game. Truth of the matter is, you can't rape a company. You really can't. You can sell trains off of it, but the desire, usually there's nothing to replace it with, is the whole problem. You want your certificates, and you can't just, let's say you have two companies, destroy one, hand it off to someone usually, and then start up a new one right away. You may have that option in some rare circumstances. But even then, I haven't seen someone go bankrupt from it. For whatever reason. I'm not sure why. I guess I've played maybe a dozen games of this. Long time ago. And mainly a bad experience. But I've never seen a bankruptcy erupt from this. I've seen situations where I'm sitting in a perfect position to destroy a company and buy another one even, but I could just buy the other one. There was no need to give up something that might be of value to me in order to hit someone else. We've got a pretty standard train progression. The four trains kill the 2 trains. The 6 trains kill the 3 trains. The pluses are killed by their same versions. So 2 plus 2 is killed by the 4 plus 4. One of the most exciting things, and probably the biggest factor outside of what I mentioned with the very, very static, rigid stock and company progression, is the creation of the Prussian. And I know the Mayfair people tried to make it, the guys who made 1856, 1860, and they brought out, 1835 is about the formation of the Prussian. I don't know if that's what it's about, but it's definitely a major factor in this game. And 2038 is almost as though they had ripped this game and put it in space in a lot of ways. They went with the miners that get absorbed into a big a big nationalized company, etc. So the Prussian, let me see when it happens. When the first 4 plus 4 train, yeah. When the first 4 plus 4 train goes, the Berlin Potsdamer, this guy, who holds a 10% worth of the Prussian in that miner, has the option to say, I'm starting the Prussian. And he can drop his corporation into the Prussian. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's when the first 4 train goes. Right? When the first 4 plus 4 train goes, he must do it. So I read that wrong. And when the first 5 train goes, so when he converts to a share of the Prussian, a 10% share, there are also 5% shares in here to represent some of the people are holding 5% of the company. So when he chooses to dump his company into the Prussian, he can choose to dump as many of his miners and privates that he holds into the Prussian at the same time. And then everybody clockwise has that same option. And then at the end of that, if there's been, you still worry about while that process is going on, you still worry about handing off the presidency of the Prussian. So if somebody exceeds the Berlin Potsdamer's Prussian ownership, he becomes the president, and it's done in that order. Okay, but then at the beginning of each operating round, he's given that option again until he must take it. And everybody else is kind of given an option to suck their stuff in. So what else? There's something else big here. Oh yeah, nationalization. Yeah, I forgot about this. So there's no limit to how many. There's a certificate limit, like there are in many games of the XX variety. In fact, I don't know many that don't have that, or any that don't have that. But there's no per company limit. You can hold 100% of a company. And what's more than that is once you own 50% of a company, you're allowed to steal shares from other players if you pay 150% of the current going market rate. Oh, okay. Now, that's a high premium, there's no question. But I remember it being very valuable given the nature of the stock market chart and how big the increases get, and big runs, etc., can definitely influence that. So there are times when you do want to own your own corporation. It also gives you a little protection. Nobody's going to be selling shares. Speaking of selling shares, this is one of those games where a sale is just a sale. It drops you one row on the stock market. Doesn't matter how many shares you sell at once. It's one row. This also allows for you. I think withholding. Trying to remember if you go back on a withholding. Yeah, you go back on withholdings. If a company's completely sold out, it goes up a row. There's no half payouts in this. I don't remember what else. Anything else that's particularly interesting about this one? The biggie for me was the minor companies. They were the excitement and the Prussian. But I think the actuality is it's getting control of the stock, of the rigid stock market in the same way that somebody gets control of the trains. It's going to be the interesting part of the game. And I'm going to give it a try, given that thinking, because, now that I've got a chance to play with it on my own, something I never had before, I may grow to like it a little more than I did before. All right.